I've been all over the country giving talks like this to organizations like yours, and it kind of runs the gamut from pharma to auto to defense contractors. Those are fun folks, by the way. Sharing the types of things in a post-Me Too era that matter. And of course, the challenge is always the culture within your organization is not necessarily the same as any other organization. As Kathleen mentioned, I am pretty involved in the HR space and in the employment and labor space within my practice. But there's a way in which we want to have our organization operate. And so that's what we're looking to achieve, as opposed to not saying anything, head in the sand, I don't want to know, just let me do my job and get out of Dodge. When you go into the airport, right, and you wait in sometimes the godforsaken lines, there's always these signs from TSA that say, see something, say something, that kind of deal, okay? Now the qualifier, of course, is you got to do it in good faith. So I'll give you some examples later about some ways when people, shall we say, don't necessarily do stuff that's actually in good faith, all right? You can't use it, you can't use an example like the kind of stuff we're going to talk about today as a weapon against somebody, because inevitably that stuff comes back to bite you. What can happen in this harassment area is a continuum. When you think about that continuum, if you take some of the folks that are in Hollywood, or you take the Bill Cosbys of the world, they are not on the continuum. They are all the way over here. They have their own set of crazy that there's no way anyone would ever say what they did was okay. But the continuum that we deal with is over here. Anywhere between somebody, looked to be the wrong way, and I just feel weird about it, to don't touch me. And we'll get into it briefly in a little bit, this idea of monetary payments for fill in the blank, we're all adults, I don't need to go there. But it's not the Bill Cosby craziness. And I think it's important to understand that as we sort of dive into this a little bit. But wait, there's more. The ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. Now this comes up in two ways as employers, right? On the one hand, it's if somebody has a disability, do we need to accommodate in order to have them or assist them in doing their job, whatever the essential functions of their job may be? Part A. Part B is our facility accessible? I think it's important to understand one particular piece relative to this topic before we really dive in too much. And that's what you learned, knew, or thought when you were in grade school about this topic, assuming you had a thought about it, is not necessarily the same as it is today. You're probably thinking, okay, big deal, new generation, Gen Z, yada yada, okay, I get that. Here's why that matters. What you thought was okay may not actually be okay. She files an action, court comes back and they're like, yeah, she's right, you can't do that. You treated her as a him, you sexually stereotyped her, and that is a violation of Title VII. Case went to jury. Now, the challenge there is it's a two-way street, right? Trying to understand, imagine what it's like being that individual, coming forward and saying, I feel trapped in my own body, that I need to make such a drastic change. I need you, employer, to understand that, and I need you to work with me as I'm going through this process. Clearly, the employer's response was not appropriate, but becomes a bit of a challenge. At the end of the day, we care about the LGBTQ community, men, women, people that are older, younger, whatever, doesn't really matter, because everybody's got to get treated the same. It's only when you have that break, when someone is treated differently for an inappropriate discriminatory reason, that it becomes a problem. There's all sorts of conduct that becomes problematic. But let's dive into it a little bit more. When we talk about physical conduct, we're talking about two different things. The first is pretty basic. Do you remember being in kindergarten? You'd have circle time. You go to the carpet. This is your space. This is my space. Don't invade my space. Now, I get it, right? Different organizations culturally run their operations in other ways. But understanding where boundaries are is exactly what that's talking about. You lose total control when you hit send. And what ends up happening is you only mean it as a joke. I get it. The problem is you don't know where it's going. Even if you send it to the person that you intend, who knows what they're going to do? It's like the VO5 commercial from when we were kids, right? They tell two friends and so on and so on. That's what happens to your email. That's why you got to be careful. You understand what's appropriate. You understand that whatever craziness I may do online, it should be in line with what I would do in person, or it can become a problem. Because there's nothing like, at least at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're not FaceTiming. You're generally not doing the video. And if you are, you're not at home when you're doing the video. That doesn't mean you post the video. I'd like to say I haven't seen it, but I've seen a lot. Now, all of that said, let's be very clear. Sometimes you have people that you deal with that are insensitive, that are, shall we say, old school. That's fine too, so long as, again, they're not making a major distinction. I say all of that, and then on the flip side, let's be honest. Sometimes there's work, there's accountability, there is a need to do a job, and the coaching and accountability and holding people accountable for what they're doing within their job, that is not harassment. It's expensive to hire. It takes a while before someone is profitable. We would rather take the people that are here, find a way to make everybody row in the same direction and be on the same page and buy in and perform at the same level, because that's better for all of us. That allows things to work on a different level. All this being said, sometimes things don't rise to the level where they violate the law, but that doesn't mean they don't violate the policies here. And don't worry, new stuff will be coming. But I think what you need to understand is, even if it doesn't rise to the level of, hey, this is insane, there may be a point at which enough is enough. The flip side is, bullying in the workplace is a very expensive proposition. Creates the kind of scenario where we really look at it and, I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't have 50 billion in the bank. So, that's a problem. Let's talk about one other area, microaggressions or microconcerns, microaggressions and concerns related to that. Just in case you don't know what we're talking about, I want to make sure that we're on the same page, okay? These are those things you don't think about. The comments that just sort of slip out, and sometimes it's upbringing, sometimes it's sort of just your view of the world, or somebody's view of the world. The one down here, in case you can't see it down front, I apologize. The gentleman saying, you have a mental disability, you seem perfectly normal to me. You know, it's that quiet, subtle little dig. As an individual employee here, the idea is, look, I get that it may bother you. I get that something may be a little off. That it may not be you, and so you might look at it and say, hey, it's not me, I don't care. But you need to. You need to care and you need to be able to address it. So I'm going to give you 3 tools that you can leave today and utilize tomorrow somewhere else, because I know none of this will happen here. Whatever you choose to do, all I would ask is that you actually engage. Because if you were that person, if you were that victim, would you want someone else to come and help you? Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I hope you got something out of it. Have a great day.